Hello friends, welcome. Friends, as always in this channel, you will find content which will be very exclusive. And you will never be able to get a similar kind of understanding from anywhere else because I do lot of deep dive research before I bring this content to you. Now, in this video, friends, I am going to focus on 5G monetization. What kind of challenges Reliance Jio is going to face on 5G monetization, because in this disclosure, which was to the stock exchange, which is dated 26th April 2025, this disclosure has the transcript of the full call, which Reliance Jio held with the investor community, the analyst community, and I'm going to take you through the details of this call, specifically on focusing on 5G monetization, and then I'm going to take you through the slide deck where I talk about what kind of challenges that operators like Reliance Jio is going to face because of the constraint that we have built ourselves, both regulatory as well as of the kind of asset assignments. Both. It is not regulatory, it is about the asset assignment, especially spectrum. Okay, so without wasting any further time, friends, let's go straight to this document. Now, before I take you through what Anshuman Thakur has spoken before this question answer session, I will like to focus on this question first, which was asked by Deepthi Chaturvedi. The question is, you spoke about 5G monetization. So could you just throw some more light on that? What are your thoughts on that? Basically, how can we look at ARPU improvement in absence of tariff hike? Obviously, 5G monetization should be the key. 40% of your subscribers are on 5G, right? This is a very interesting question. So, Anshuman Thakur answers saying that yes, 45% of data consumption, data traffic is on 5G. Opportunity to give more services. So, a combination of things like network slicing. Now, look at this network slicing is being able to offer some differentiated superior service. Now, note at this point or this phrase, network slicing will be able to offer differentiated superior services, enterprise offering, so as to see many opportunities here. So these are not about differentiated services to private 5G operators. These are to the customers, which Reliance has, because we are talking about improvement, ARPU improvement, right? We will be able to demonstrate or provide those services and then be able to charge a premium for those services. So that's how they are basically thinking. So existing subscribers who are using conventional mobile data, Reliance thinks that they will be able to charge a premium, right? And it also goes on to say that no other operators will be able to offer those kind of differentiated services which Reliance will be able to offer, because the customer will look for those kind of services and Reliance has the capability. Now, this is the question, right? And what is important and what will be very interesting to look at what he said during the time when the transcript was being recorded. And this is actually when he was making his own speech before the Q&A session. So here is that. Here is the para which I've underlined, right? And I'm going to briefly take, because I'm not going to do a very deep dive because it will be a waste of time otherwise. So we'll focus on key sentences. Mobility, our lead, our success in 5G deployment, and now our 5G consumption and customer uptake of 5G is very likely visible on ground. So focus is 5G, okay? This map of Ookla shows again that we have pretty much pan-India 5G coverage. So 191 million users on 5G. Then he talks about 45% of the total wireless data traffic is on 5G. Then he says, we have really not started monetizing 5G. Imagine, they have not yet started monetizing. So 5G monetization is yet to come. So effectively, 45% of the data that people are consuming today is being offered to them free of cost, friends, free of cost, mind you. But they are getting a habit into consuming, just like what they did in 4G. So this is the same trend, they are being, which Anshuman is talking about. We believe that a very big opportunity for us, in the same way that LT offered them the big opportunity in 2016, the fact that differentiated LT data capacity creation, that we have done, which subsequently led to the revenue market share, they want to see a similar. So they want to do a differentiations, 5G capability, premium 5G services, so that the operators, so that the subscriber can pay premium for the premium 5G services. So we will look into what kind of capability, what kind of regulatory framework that allows them to offer those premium 5G services. It will be pretty interesting, friends. Now, the focus is all on FWA. Kumbh Mela as a reference is being talked about, 85% market share of FWA. Then he speaks about a term called UBR, which I'm going to explain. What is UBR? So just to give you what is UBR, UBR is Dynamic Resource Management, User-Based Resource Allocation, which is basically if anybody is demanding a premium service, this UBR can give that user a premium service, means his internet download speeds are going to be higher. So that's what is being talked about here. See, fixed wireless both on our 5G spectrum, but also on UBR. And then he talks about 100 million homes on FWA, right? FWA definitely a success, right? And then he talks about synchronous uplink and downlink both having similar speed, which is fantastic. I really, hats off to Reliance. And then you will see dedicated slices for enterprises, which is allowed, because private 5G is allowed, because you are carving out a separate slice from your network, which is completely independent from your commercial network. So that is allowed. And there are many use cases being talked about here. So net, this is the summary of this conference call, or the transcript which the Reliance had with the investor when they announced their result. Now let's go to my presentation. So Reliance Jio's 5G monetization ambition, regulatory challenges is what we are going to talk about. So we know that fully standalone network, you know that difference between standalone and non-standalone network. Standalone means 5G is completely separate from 4G. There is no interconnection between 5G unless and until somebody gets off the 5G network. So there will be a hard handoff. So offering network level slicing, nobody stops network level slicing as long as you are creating a private. You're doing so to create a virtual private network, right? Not for offering differential service by friends, because the current regulation does not allow that. I'm going to show you why. They are preparing for UE level slicing. UE level slicing is different. Network level is different, because network is for the purpose of creating, virtual private network. And UE level is basically different types of apps can hook onto the different level of pipes, which I'll show you how it works. And for that, I'm going to take you through one of my articles which I have written earlier. So this article which I have written, this is the 5G network pipe. So when you say UE level slicing, so the pipe is common. Now there is a general pipe, which is the general internet pipe, and then there are different slices which are actually created with different SLAs. Now when you are at the handset, the app of an handset can ask for a particular slice. Let's say slice number 1 with a particular SLA. So every application, app which resides on your phone, the Google Play or in iOS, they can demand a particular slice so as to get a different type of service treatment. That is called UE level slice, right? So I think you probably understand, right? This is what is being talked about here, right? And then monetization focus, premium differentiated services on user experience. So monetization slicing capability. So this is the strategy from the disclosure. Target premium subscribers, which we have already spoken about. Dynamic resource management, we spoke about. I showed you what is being spoken about in the disclosure statement. Now let's look at what the Indian regulatory framework is. So we have got two different regulations. One is the TRAI 2016 February 8 regulation and the DoT's amendment of the USL license. So what I am going to do, friends, I am going to take you to my article, because that article gives you a summary of these two regulations. So this article is titled Examining the Debate of Over OTT Sharing Revenue with Telecom Operators. You don't have to get into the details of the article. I'm going to show you what the provisions are. So the Unified License 26 September 2018 provision says the following, and read out to you. A licensee providing internet access service shall not engage in any discriminatory treatment of content. So focus is here content. I'll tell you the nuances also. It's very, very important. whenever these regulations came, the primary focus was on content, not on service. But indirectly, you can make a very clear, conclusion that services are also included. And I'll tell you the reason why. So let me read again. A licensee providing internet service shall not engage in any discriminatory treatment of content, including based on the sender or the receiver, the protocol being used for the user equipment. So no content-based discrimination is allowed as per the USL license. And then it also goes on to say, licensee is prohibited from entering into any arrangement or agreement or contract by whatever name it may be called with any person, natural or legal, that has the effect of discriminatory treatment of content. So this is content. Now, there is another clause 2.3 in the same document. Nothing contained in these provisions and restrict the provision of specialized service by a licensee. Now, this is important. Specialized service by a licensee, provided that the specialized services are not usable or offered as a replacement of internet service. You understand now? So if you are allowed to offer specialized services, but they can't be replacing internet service, which otherwise means that you can't be offering internet services as a specialized services. Now, specialized services can have different level of SLA. This is why I'm saying that this is more nuanced. The provision of specialized services is not detrimental. Again, another point, if you are providing specialized services, it should not have a detrimental impact on the overall usage of consumers' ability to use internet. And let me explain by going through this diagram. Let's say if this is the 5G pipe and this is what the general internet slice is, like by the big circle here. And let's say these are the specialized services. Now, these specialized services should not be such that this pipe becomes so small that the user's ability to use general internet are somehow subdued. It shrinks and the capacity becomes very, very low. So these people will feel constrained here and these specialized services will have a free ride. Okay. So that's what being talked about here. So specialized service means the services other than internet access services that are optimized for specific content protocol or user equipment where the optimization is necessary in order to meet specific quality of service requirement, not for general internet. You understand? So that is what I basically was trying to say. And then the TRAI tariff order is in similar, language. So let's not waste time anymore here. This is the slide which talks about the TRAI tariff order and the DoT's amendment to the USL license based on the TRAI tariff order, stringent treatment of internet access as a common public good. So this is being spoken about here, right? So let me just take this away, it's creating a distraction, right? Then we have the key legal restriction. The key legal restrictions are what? We already spoke about some of them. No differential pricing of internet browsing, TRAI order of 2016, para 4 and 5, you can refer to that. Specialized service allowed only if it is not a substitute of general internet access. No degradation of public internet quality. USL, I already showed you. Now, why UE means handset level slicing face challenges in India. Why if it faces? Because differentiating general browsing speed violates net neutrality. Not allowed. As I told you, specialized services are services which are specific in nature, non-internet in nature. All services have to be at a par. You can't really do paid prioritization. Not allowed. Logical network slicing does not exempt compliance. Logical network slicing does not exempt compliance. Okay, specialized services exception does not apply to 5G consumer use cases. Okay, right? Because he was talking about those users he will be able to charge premium services and therefore he will be able to raise the ARPU. Specialized services definition does not apply to 5G customers, only applies to specific services like remote, you can say that, all kinds of, maybe, monitoring a camera remotely, or maybe, remote surgery, all those things which 5G, had claimed earlier. Now, let's talk about what kind of possibility exists, because these rules of India, which constrains the operators to leverage 5G network capability to the fullest, is not the way the world is structured. I'll tell you why, and let's go to the straight to that slide as to where the global situation is, and then we'll come back there. International flexibility versus Indian regulation. US and EU allow slicing based on public internet if the public internet is unaffected. Means you can do UE level slicing, you can do network level slicing, provided public internet is unaffected. India, there is no flexibility as per the current rule. Current regulation blocks monetization of dynamically differentiation internet access. Right? So let's assume that the EU and US rules are allowed. Now, what kind of problems that India will face? Now, India can do all those specialized services and allow differentiation at the FWA level. Why? Because FWAs are typically in 3.5 gigahertz band where there is 100 megahertz spectrum, and in some cases Reliance has got 130 megahertz spectrum, and 26 gigahertz band, which is the millimeter wave band where there is 1 gigahertz of spectrum. So those bands are always going to have huge capacity. So if you are allowing these slicing based application at the FWA level, because these are primarily FWA spectrum, right, for offering broadband services, not for handset, because these have very little coverage. There is no indoor penetration. So there you can argue that your internet traffic is not going to get affected if you allow these kind of services, and you can do prioritization based on the kind of quality requirement or quality browsing that a particular user might request. So you can create a separate slice. No problems with that, because primarily your internet, the pipe, let's go to the same chart again and show you. So your internet pipe, right, which is this big. And if you're offering these slices and this pipe is pretty big, then this slice, which is for general internet, is not going to get affected. And that can only happen if this is 3.5 gigahertz spectrum or 26 gigahertz spectrum. But what about 700 megahertz spectrum? Most of the subscribers are latched onto the low frequency band. And the low frequency band has got how much? Only 10 megahertz of spectrum here. Now, if you have just 10 megahertz of spectrum, and if you start offering slices, the EU level slices, which Reliance Jio Anshuman is talking about, then your general internet pipe is going to become so constrained that you are going to squeeze out your non-premium subscriber out of the network. So their quality of service will become so poor to able to get the premium users to get better quality service. And in the end, what will happen is these premium users are going to become normal users, because they are going to push these people out of this pipe and they will be forced to take this premium services. So it's like, able to, somehow turn around the whole thing and in the process raise tariff, in the process of giving poor quality services to the non-premium users and forcing them to go into the premium level service. And that is not allowed. That's why this pipe has to be expanded, especially the low frequency band. If you have just 10 megahertz, it is not going to work. You need to have more spectrum. You may have to have at least 20 megahertz of spectrum, so that these slices are at the top level. There is another pipe on the top of this. So you can move these slices on the top pipe. So handset level slicing, if you go to the same statement in the question which was asked here, which Anshuman responded, saying that they are thinking of raising their ARPU by offering these premium slices, right? That is what is being spoken about here, right? Let me just go and get you that answer to the question again, Where was it? Where is it? Yeah. See, you spoke about 5G monetization, and here he is saying that we will be able to charge premium, because it is being spoken about ARPU, and ARPU is for conventional users, not allowed because of the reason which I explained to you, right? So that is the reason why, if you see that 700 megahertz spectrum, Reliance Jio, very limited. So vital for indoor coverage, and where people are going to use these services indoor, right? So if you are not going to extend your spectrum indoor, and if you are going to offer premium services, your other users are going to be knocked off out of the network, because your network is going to get choked. Only mid-band and high frequency band has viable splicing capability, and they can isolate the network in such a way that their normal users internet is not affected. UBR is valid for 5G private 5G environment, provided that internet services are not affected, right? So specialized services, what is allowed and what is not? Private factory 5G network allowed. Private FWA internal enterprise VPN allowed, because and they are allowed provided your conventional commercial 5G networks are not affected. Premium public browsing FWA mobile not allowed. As I explained to you, differentiated smartphone browsing speed not allowed because of the reason which I have explained to you. Bharti and Vodafone Idea will also face similar constraint. Bharti is also trying to do, SL level, 5G SL level for their FWA. So they haven't done it for their mobile. Reliance Jio has the capability at the mobile level. Bharti does not have, because they don't have an integrated SA network. They are trying to build only for their FWA. So they will also face similar problem. So we need a regulatory evolution. We have to amend the TRAI order of 2016 and the DoT's UASL license condition in order to allow these differentiated services if and make sure that non-premium users QoS is unaffected. And that can only happen if low frequency band spectrum management is made proper. Reliance Jio cannot be restricted to 10 megahertz. Now, somebody may say the Reliance Jio already has 800 megahertz spectrum and they can aggregate that 700 and 800 to create a larger block of 20 megahertz. Not possible, because as soon as that aggregation is done, I have spoken about this in many videos, their network coverage is going to shrink by 40 to 50%, because spectrum bands which are adjacent to each other, their aggregation and cannot be done effectively. They have to be treated at two different blocks of spectrum, right? So there will be two different blocks of spectrum. It can't be seen as one, right? Or they can do what? They can basically take the 800 megahertz, take all their 4G users out of the 800 megahertz and then make that as a slice network and make the 700 as a, that is possible, but their 4G users have to be knocked off and have to be put somewhere else, and therefore their 4G is here to stay. You can't really get 4G out of the networks. There has to be some place where low frequency 4G network is needed in order to support those 4G subscribers who is not going to get out of the network soon. So recognize advanced 5G slicing model when safeguarding open internet principles. And finally, I conclude this presentation. Reliance Jio is technically positioned to monetize 5G slicing, but needs additional sub-gigahertz spectrum. Indian regulatory framework is outdated for advanced business. For not only regulatory, but their spectrum assignment rules are outdated. They treat their low frequency band as gold and silver, and wasted and given away 30 to 40% or maybe more than spectrum of vital spectrum, a 700 megahertz band, to public sector unit, and they are wasting that spectrum, right? Without regulatory reform and slicing monetization will face legal challenges. Urgent policy modernization is needed for 5G success. So that's all, friends, in this video. I hope that you understand this is a very critical issue. I thought of doing a video on this to make you understand that this talk about monetization of 5G is not going to be an easy task, because of the reason which I explained to you. There are a lot of challenges. The challenges are not only of a regulatory nature, but also of a capacity nature, because low frequency bands in India is limited. 5G actually is not about speeds. The speed may be for FWA, but if you really want to do handset level slicing, those handset level application, if you have to give to different level of capability, and you design the API for that, so that the application developer can access those slices. For that, you need capacity at the low frequency band, because handsets are primarily locked into the low frequency band. In indoor coverage is there only for low frequency band, not for high frequency band, friends. Thanks for your time, friends. The video has got a little long because this is very important topic. I hope that you like this video, and I'll come back with a new video next time on a new topic. Thank you very much for watching.